I think you're supposed to say, aren't you supposed to say, oh, hey there, glad to see you? Or is it, oh, didn't catch you there, how's it going? Have to just finish my, got to finish ordering my Lululemon short shorts. What's up, folks? Just wanted to make a video update. Obviously, we've got really nice camera equipment, audio equipment that we never use, so we figured we might as well make a video doing something along those lines of actually decent quality content. Don't know if we're going to post this on Instagram or YouTube yet, but we just wanted to make a video, general update, kind of where we've been, what's going on, and then also training, education, stuff like that. So as far as update where we've been, what's going on, we were super hot and heavy with social media probably a month ago, and then spring break hit. We went down to Florida for a week, spent a week down there with the family, and it was amazing. It was a great time. We got to stay off phones, got to you see the benefit your kids get when you're off your phones, off social media, and it was just it was actually kind of nice to go and do events, go outside, be in nice weather, and literally check your phone once a day. It was a good break, and it's kind of hung in there to where I'm trying to kind of take a break from social media. We're doing some stuff business-wise, obviously doing some stuff, but again, that's not my priority. At the end of the day, doing Instagram posts 24/7, it's maybe once every couple of days do something. Obviously trying to leverage emails more, because also social media is very heavy when it comes to kind of smashing our reach as a firearms training company. So that's kind of where we're at. Two quick things to mention. Upcoming classes are handgun base on April 22nd, and then carbine base on May 6th. We've got a bunch more, I'd say more advanced classes like Red Dot, combative medicine, application classes, carbine and handgun, either in Grass Lake or in Berry County in Hastings. So, yeah, so we wanted to make a video kind of about that, what's been going on, and then also a video about training education, because we noticed one thing, base level sales and interest are kind of low this year, and then you look at advanced classes and those are all almost sold out, and people are super excited for the advanced level classes, and you're like, that's kind of strange. I've been listening to a coach, podcast, book, whatever you want to call it. Guy's name is Brett Bartholomew. He runs The Art of Coaching, and I've been listening to it because obviously I'm good at what I do, right? I'm a good instructor, or people tell me I am, and I'm good at communicating and articulating ideas and whatever that may be. The problem is I don't know why, right? So that's one of the things about their podcast is they talk about and they explain a lot of that stuff. So I find it interesting because they will explain something and I'm like, oh, I do that now. I don't know why I do it, but now I see why that works out really well, right? So I generally enjoy reading, listening, whatever I can with all that stuff. So I was listening to a podcast. I was over this weekend in the Potawatomi Trail over in Pinckney, doing a long run, building up for this 100-miler, and I was listening to one of their podcasts, and he had on the authors of Built to Move. That's a book. The authors are Kelly and Juliet Starrett. You probably see them on TikTok. I know he does a lot with Hyperice, if you guys follow any of that kind of stuff. And their book was kind of interesting because it's not all about fitness, right? Because Coach Brett, The Art of Coaching, he's originally a strength and conditioning coach and kind of in the athletic world, but then everything they do is really actually a lot more impact outside of that world, which is also interesting when you look at it from a firearms standpoint. And that was one of their things that they were talking about, their book, how they kind of tried writing that book to not tailor it towards athletic spaces, and it's kind of more of an overall a general use book. One of the things I found that they were talking about was very interesting was, and it kind of goes back to talking about class signups. is they would get some high-level instructors that would come into classes, or not high-level instructors, but they'd get high-level like pro athletes that would come in and want to just only work on the very high-level specialty skill, but not work on the fundamentals. Which is you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like we kind of have the same problem in the firearms world, right? Not saying you don't have to do that, but we've always said that you can always take fundamentals and put them into advanced applications, but you can't put advanced applications or tactics into fundamentals, right? It only goes one way. And it was interesting because they had a couple unique analogies. She had an analogy saying that you wouldn't want to make a complex cantilever structure or walls based on a crappy foundation. And I've always used like the satellite analogy. Like if you're trying to fine tune a satellite, you're not going to want to use a satellite built upon a crappy foundation that's not consistent, not stable, right? And you're like, huh, that's pretty interesting to see that also is in the fitness space, right? Because we obviously get people that only want to show up to advanced classes or tactic classes, and obviously if they work on fundamentals and stuff like that, then they're perfectly fine, and maybe they're just showing up to those classes. But if you get people that are only showing up to the advanced shoot house classes and low light class and all that other stuff, eventually they start getting worse because they're not working on fundamentals because they're focusing so heavily on just the specific advanced stuff, right? I think one of the things you think about, like, really it's anything you work on, even if it's fitness. You look at like triathlons, right? You'll have, let's say you do a 6-month training plan. 3 months might be building a good base foundation to work off of, and then you'll have a month of building, and then you have a month of fine-tuning specialty phase just before a race, right? We need the majority of that to be in there. That's why one of the times if people ask us, they're like, hey, what classes should we take? And you're like, if you're not going to dry fire and train outside of class, then don't take a class, quite frankly, right? If you told me that you had time and money to budget for something, I would rather have you figure out how to work in dry fire every single day or every other couple days of your life, working on dry fire fundamentals. And I think that would be far more beneficial than you just taking one class one time, right? Like there's got to be some understanding of that to a certain level. One thing they mentioned about the book, and you guys ever hear me talk about dry fire, I always tell students, I'm like, hey, when you're trying to fit dry fire into your life and trying to figure out when and where, a lot of times what I'll do is if I'm folding laundry, right, I'll stand at the edge of the bed, I'm folding laundry, get a couple dry fire reps in, drop your mags on the couch or on the bed so that way you're not dropping them on the hardwood floors, pissing your wife off. But you can do that and make folding laundry the 10-15 minutes actually somewhat enjoyable. And I've always said that a long time, and this weekend they said they call that hiding the reps. So they're hiding the repetitions into something that you do every single day, and you're like, well, it's kind of like picking up clothes and doing like a single RDL or something like that, right? So I thought that's extremely interesting. It's hard because when I'm running, I'm listening to these podcasts, I'm constantly stopping, trying to take notes or trying to make audio notes because I want to circle back and talk about some of this stuff because I think it's pretty interesting to see. It's just not firearms oriented, right? It's your overall life. Like we should have basic core principles that we're working on and then fine tuning some specialty stuff, right? Like, you're not going to do advanced investments if you don't have traditional basic investments, right? So whether it's financial, fitness, whatever it may be, I think that's kind of interesting. The other interesting thing that the art of coaching is they're really big on is communication, right? Communication is key for everything. I listened to their last thing that was talking about how to ask questions, which I thought that was an insanely awesome podcast. But back to training, that's our spiel, right? You guys hear it all the time. We'd much rather have you see you guys doing some form of a training plan for dry fire at home, or take and say, hey, I'm going to do these fundamental classes or something like that. Obviously, you need the advanced classes, but that should be a far smaller amount, right? Tried making some notes so that I could kind of somewhat do a better job of staying on track. Can't think of anything else I wanted to mention. We got a couple classes coming up. Social media. Like I said, we're trying to hammer email because social media is so bad. If you guys see anything you like or anything like that, go ahead and you share it. We appreciate it because that's the true only way that we get organic reach. And then other than that, don't have a whole lot going on. We got some decent weather coming up. We're looking forward to getting outside, getting on the range. Got some cool classes coming up this year. We're going to spice up a couple different classes also, so check that out. Other than that, I think you're supposed to have a catchy saying. What was my saying? Be successful, and more importantly, be yourself. You guys have a good weekend, good week, good summer. Hope to see you soon.